Ask yourself this question. Would you as a first-time flipper buy this property? It is your responsibility to do all the due diligence you need when you're buying a property. Whether you're buying a property to flip it, or you're buying it to burr it, or you're just buying it for simply just a rental without a lot of renovations or just minimal renovation. It is up to you to verify what you're getting into and use your resources and the people that's around you to help and guide you. Do not make these decisions without carefully thinking things through. This is how people lose a lot of money in real estate without thinking things through and rushing into real estate. So in today's video, we're gonna go over a project, a property that one of my students were looking into. At the end, I'll tell you if they got it or if they didn't get it, but I want you to take a look at this property and see the condition it's in. Now, in all full disclosure, this property was on the MLS. It also was on the wholesale radar. But before we get started, let's take a quick look at the actual condition of the property right now, and you tell me, would you buy this property? Now, keep in mind, these videos that I'm making is for you guys to have a good understanding of how to approach fix and flips that can either be flipped for a profit or flip into a burr, meaning that you're gonna hold the property and pull out your money and hold it as a rental. You wanna watch these videos to get better understanding. So thank you for tuning in. We appreciate it. So let's go into the tour of the house. Now, this house is a raised home. What does that mean? There's crawl space. When there's crawl space, you typically have prone to having foundation issues with homes like this and subfloor issues, which in this case, this house has it. It's sagging in some places. However, doesn't mean that you can't flip it for a profit. You can. The numbers just have to make sense. So come with me real quick and let's just take a quick look with this, see if it makes sense. By me walking up, I can already tell the ceiling is too low. We're talking about maybe 7-foot ceilings, and today's gonna be able to last. So we'll probably see if we have to raise the ceiling and see what we can possibly do. Now, there's some sag. Yeah, I'm not sure the video's gonna catch it, but you can see it. It's a huge gap. There's a gap distinction if we go across. The trim covers it here, but there's a huge gap distinction here. That is a sag, which tells me that floor is not completely level. So we have to level this whole entire house out completely. And this kitchen is a little bit way too small. Now, the one good thing I would say, the windows look like they can be salvageable and utilized. And you can tell the agent already toured this house. From here to here leads into, I don't know what this is. This can't be a bedroom. This has to be either another flex space. The layout is confusing. And then this is an actual room here. So I don't know if this was a duplex conversion where they were renting it out and they split it up, but that wouldn't make any sense because there's a door leading to the kitchen. So I don't know. Normally it's gonna be a pass through, but in this case it's not. And sorry for the light if you're watching this video. I really truly apologize. This is weird. All right, so they did put a tankless water heater in here. This was not adequate for a house this size. Whenever you start seeing these things in videos, you know the AC is completely shot. You might even have to check the ductwork, make sure it's clean and double check that. You can easily spend about $10,000 on AC and duct in a house this size. Let me go look at the other side because this is a 3-2, but possibly I think it's a 4-2. It's not bad. The floor is completely high here. Oh my gosh, and it slopes. It's like, you can literally roll a quarter here and see the distinction. Oh my gosh. Definitely some foundation issues here. OMG. Wow. Sagging of the floor, which we already determined because this is the wall behind. Yeah, complete. You can see it. You can see where it slouches here. There's a slouch here. You can see the difference. You come up here, you can see where the slouch is happening because the boards are starting to separate from each other here and here. The sag is already happening already. There's new construction right there taking place. That's been done. That's been done. This one's been done. Looking at this house right now and the condition it's currently in, ask yourself this question. Would you as a first-time flipper buy this property? We discovered it had foundation issues. We discovered that it has roof issues, it's leaking. We discovered that the roof definitely needs to be replaced and it might have some structural issues outside the foundation for the roof. So some of it is sagging. And it's a raised home, meaning that it's above ground. So sometimes the plumbing's underneath. Sometimes plumbers don't want to work underneath and they charge more to be underneath to do the plumbing. So knowing all of this, it's gonna be a hefty renovation. So this is your first flip, I would advise against it. I would not flip a property in that condition for my first very property. This is the things that as you're watching these videos, I want you guys to understand. Not to jump into something like this without someone coaching you or guiding. Even if they are coaching you, they need to have the experience themselves and have gone through that process. So let's get into these little numbers of what it might take to fix and flip this property. So currently this house is on the MLS and they want $229 for it, but my ARV right now is looking around $365. And what I'm guesstimating for a rehab right now is probably gonna be around $85,000 for a rehab. But I don't think we can buy this house at $229 because of that rehab factor and still make a profit and still borrow hard money and come out this thing making any money. I think the true target price of this house should be north of 180 or 190. I would say more towards 180 for it to make sense. So 180, let's say you put about another 100,000 in the rehab in this house, plus you got hard money costs, you might be in this thing 315. If you can swing it for about 375, there's still a profit there. But the time is gonna take to actually flip this house, it's gonna take at least 6 months to flip this house correctly. As you probably already heard, we already broke this deal down. I was right around 190, 180-ish price point. And the reason for that is you wanna keep enough margin in these big enough rehabs to fix things as they come up. Ask anyone who's invested in any property, have they ever gone over budget on a big rehab like this? Certain things you can't budget or account for. For example, you might have a vendor that you've always been using and he's charging you 20,000, and for whatever reason, he can't get to you in time. And it's gonna take him maybe a month, and then you gotta find a different vendor, and that vendor is 25,000. So your price just went up right then and there. So you wanna make sure you're accounting for every precaution when you're flipping properties. So never just go into it blindly. I always say, if you're saying $100,000 for a budget for rehab, put an extra 5, maybe 10 in there as a precautionary tale. So anywhere between 5 to 10% extra. If it's a lesser budget, let's say it's 45, I'll put 10%, which is 4,000. But if it's a bigger budget, you can range around 5% to 10% on these things. Now let's get to the other piece of this video. This house was on the MLS. Not only was it on the MLS, but it was with a wholesaler. So the wholesaler did this. They saw the property on MLS. They offered a specific amount, which they didn't want to tell us, and they got it on the contract. Now they got it on the contract for a duration of time to be able to market the property because they had it on the contract. Now they market the property for a different price, and we're talking to the wholesaler. The wholesaler's telling us one thing, and we find out there was an agent, and the agent's telling us one thing. It was a whole debacle dealing with this property. We end up just tossing it up and not even doing the deal because they didn't want to give it to for our price. But it ended up selling though. So the property ended up selling for $206. Now it sold about 5 months ago, and I want to do a video on this because it sold about roughly 4 to 5 months ago, and they have not done anything yet with the property, which goes to show you that the length of time it was going to take to renovate it or come up with something to do. As properties in Sanford, it's probably gonna take them 6 to 8 months to renovate this property. So you gotta factor in how much money you're gonna spend on holding this property for holding costs, your investors who we probably borrow money from, or just your capital that's in the deal. And you wanna make sure that you're not losing, and the time that you're spending in the deal, and also when you go sell it, has a market change. 8 months to renovate a property that's not brand new is a long time. So you need to pad it, a lot of profit, pad it with a lot of things for things that may take place in the renovation process. So make sure you're taking this into account.